Hi everyone, I'm Kelly, and this year I challenged myself to not buy bread from the grocery store, and instead I will be making it all at home. So this is our menu for the week. So today we're gonna make a sandwich loaf. I made one a couple of weeks ago, and it was like a 2 out of 5. I made bread that was edible. It smelled good, looked like bread, but it did not hold up as a sandwich bread. I didn't even get a video or a picture of the actual sandwich because literally the bread was just falling apart and we just had to eat it so fast. But there were a couple of things that contributed to that. So first was I didn't plan it out very well. So this time I made sure to account for the whole day for this. I also used a recipe from the trusted Brian Lagerstrom, who has given me only successful bread recipes so far. So thanks, Brian, for that. Hey Siri, set a timer for 30 minutes. Wow. Bro, that was a little toasty.
What's that?
Yum. For the first loaf, I made it I made it after coming home from work, and then wanted to eat it that same day. It rose enough but wasn't that big, so with this bread I was really happy to see that it rose and is going to be like big enough for a proper sandwich bread, even though the shaping was a bit wonky, which I'll try to fix next time. But overall it looked really good coming out of the oven. So this time I made sure to plan so that it had enough time to cool before making the sandwich for dinner. So that was one thing that helped. Oh my god, that's a thick slice.
Big slice, dude.
Sorry.
Dude, this is a sandwich right here.
Another thing that helped this bread kind of hold together was I toasted the bread this time around, and I also didn't put as much sauce and made sure that there wasn't as much moisture in the lettuce, just so the bread wouldn't get too soggy and then completely fall apart.
Good bread, man.
Yeah.
This is better than last time. This is good.
Yeah? Okay, good. Yeah, mine is just falling apart like where the bread was like disconnecting already. But otherwise the bread itself is like holding up, you know?
Oh. I made everything.
You're welcome. And overall, I think this bread was a success. I mean, it looked like bread, tasted like bread. It was really good. Held up as a sandwich, and I'd be happy to try this recipe again and try to perfect it. This one! Yeah, that one. So next on the menu we have banana bread. This was a late midweek ad because at my work they give away free bananas, and I think the day before this they had a stack of really ripe bananas, and they were basically perfect for our banana bread. So I took a couple of them home and then made it the next day. And I love this recipe. It's from Claire Saffitz's book, Dessert Person, and I've made it so many times. I love it because of 3 things. 1, it tastes really good, and there's like different textures and stuff with it between the crunchy almond butter topping and the crunchy almonds inside. 2, it's a good like weekday bake where you can make it after work and bake it and eat it in the same night. And then it's really good for like breakfast or snacks or dessert. And then 3, I also love making it with my daughter because it's just a lot of like pouring and mixing ingredients. It's pretty simple. So yeah, it's a solid recipe. I also modified this recipe slightly because I added some chocolate chips and 1 or 2 tablespoons of whiskey. So my thoughts on the banana bread is it's good. is my second slice. It didn't rise as much as it normally does. I don't know if it's because when I combined the wet and dry ingredients together, I didn't mix those together first before folding in the almonds and the chocolate chips, but still good though. So one of the things that I look forward to on the weekends are our weekend breakfasts. And I love when I can contribute to those breakfasts by baking something. And English muffins are something that I've made pretty often, and they always turn out pretty good, except for the first time that I made them. They were pretty flat, but I learned my lesson from there. So this is, again, a recipe from Claire Saffitz's Dessert Person recipe book, and I love so many of the recipes from there. One of the reasons why this is so great is because it's basically perfect to make for your breakfast. So you'll start making the dough the night before. So here I'm doing it Friday night. Make the dough, let it rise the first time for about an hour or so, and then you'll flatten the dough and put it in the fridge to do its like second rise and fermenting overnight. And then once you wake up in the morning, then you just cut out the English muffins, and we'll do 2 sizes, like bigger ones for Anthony and me, and then smaller ones for my daughter. And then Anthony will just cook them all on the griddle at once. And then we let them cool, and then you kind of slice them by poking the sides with a fork to keep all of those nooks and crannies. And then Anthony made these like sausage patties and eggs to go into our breakfast sandwiches, and they turned out great. Oh yeah. Good? Yeah. They puffed up enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, usually they're like a little taller. So my big and kind of intimidating recipe for this week was making these hamburger buns, and it was kind of intimidating because it uses sourdough starter for the bread to rise, and I haven't used my sourdough starter in months. So leading up to this, I fed my sourdough starter every morning to kind of get it to be stronger again. And I noticed that it wouldn't rise that much by the time I'd come home when I just left it out on the counter because it's a bit colder here. So I tried putting it in the toaster oven at room temperature to rise throughout the day, and that seemed to help. So I just got home and it was looking good. Look at that starter. You can see I have a rubber band to show where it started. So it's risen quite a lot, and it looks pretty bubbly, so that's great. I want to take advantage of its bubbliness right now, but I'm just gonna review the recipe again to see what I need to do. Because today I'm supposed to make the levain. I don't know if you can see. I make the levain, so basically this is just like a mixture of like what's gonna help the bread rise, and it includes my ripe sourdough starter. So I just need bread flour, sugar, water, and my starter. But before I use the starter, I'm gonna do that float test where I take a bit of the starter, see if it floats in some water, and if it does, then I'll proceed. A little bit. Watch. Gonna float. It's floating! Yay! Hey, look. It's float. Oh wait, okay. It looks like it's sunk, but I swear it was floating. Is it not floating yet? So another reason why this recipe is kind of intimidating is because of the timing of all the steps. And thankfully the blog that gave this recipe has this helpful graphic so you know when to do each step. But even before that first step of making the levain, you have to know when to feed your starter and then when it's at its peak ripeness, because you want the starter to be at its peak ripeness when you make the levain. So it's just a lot of like planning and knowing how your starter is in the conditions of your home, which is why I was a little bit worried when I saw that the sourdough starter floated and then sunk, because I was like, did I miss the peak ripeness window, or did I do it too early? Did I do it too late? I have no idea. So at that point I was just kind of like, it is what it is. We're just gonna go with it. So here at the grocery store at 9:45 p.m. on a Friday because I forgot to check the ingredients and we did not have enough milk. So I'm here shopping for that and for the rest of what we're gonna eat tomorrow for lunch or for dinner. Good morning. 7:30 a.m. on Saturday, and I am awake because of bread. I realized I forgot to take out butter last night for these buns because it has to be at room temperature, so I need to do that now. So I'm like within the window right now to make these buns. But my levain maybe didn't rise as much because it's pretty cold. You see? Wow. I'll get a better shot, but at least it has risen. I don't know if it's done enough, but it's looking good. So now the hard part was done and I just had to follow the recipe, and they were all steps that I was more familiar with. And I made this recipe at the same time that I was making the English muffins. So I started this recipe, went to the English muffins, and then while we were eating our breakfast, the dough was doing its bulk fermentation, its first rise. And then from there I just had to shape the buns and then let them proof. And this was something new that I had to deal with. To know that these were done proofing, you don't really have to go by touch, but instead this like jiggling method. Does this jiggle enough? I think it ended up being okay, so I moved forward with it, did the egg wash, put them in the oven, rotated them mid-bake, and they turned out pretty good. It's sharp. We don't want to get owie.
Owie,
Yeah,
owie.
yeah, we don't want to get owie. Oh. See? Look. Nice and soft. Tomato. Oh my gosh, this is like...
This is a freaking Krabby Patty.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hot.
Mm-hmm. Is the bun holding up? Oh my gosh, the bun is so small.
It is holding up.
Yeah, it is. With this full burger. Go burger. I only have the bottom bun. Sounds good. It's doing its job.